Hi, in today's video, I've got a warning for you about bifocal glasses for children. Now, before I go into that, I'm going to talk with you about how you can connect with us. If you're local, call us at 618-288-1489. If you're not local, that's okay. Go to our website at visionforlifeworks.com. You can do all kinds of things there, like take a quiz, read success stories, read about what we do, and also schedule consultations. All right, so let's talk about this. Why am I warning about bifocal lenses for kids? Well, years ago, I actually prescribed bifocals for a lot of kids. In fact, that's something that I did probably from the time I was a doctor. It's been 24 years now. 24 years, it's a long time. When you say it out loud, that's a long time. But I did that for probably about, I would say, 15 years of my career until around the time that I came to this office, which I've been here at this office since 2012. And I started to look at things a little bit differently because I was getting some different results. Now, for reference, there are two types of what we call bifocals that we see the most often. There's actually other forms of this, a couple of others, but the ones that you're going to see more frequently are just the glasses that look like what I'm wearing. There's literally no marking on the lens. You can't tell by looking at someone that they have a bifocal in their glasses. That's actually called a no-line progressive, where you don't see any kind of external marking indicating the person's wearing a bifocal. However, for sake of this video, I took a pair of glasses we had sitting around in the office. I used a type of marker called a China marker because we don't have any bifocals in the office that look like this. But what I did was I drew what would look to be similar to if you've got a flat top bifocal, because it's flat across the top, and it will look like this little segment here. Now there's another type that would have a little segment on top of that called a trifocal, but for kids, we're talking about a flat top bifocal or a progressive where you don't see anything at all. And so once upon a time, again, I prescribed a lot of these flat top bifocals for children to be wearing. More specifically, we usually will provide them for patients and children who are struggling to see at distance, maybe just a little bit, but then they need add power or extra power on the top of that for up close. This can happen in kids who are nearsighted or myopic, and it can also be beneficial in kids who are farsighted. Well, at least that's what I used to think, but I've changed my ways and I've reformed. Because over the years, what happened was I started to have patients who were farsighted in particular. So let's just say they're like a +1 and the doctor said they need to have a low power prescription, just a +1. It doesn't magnify that much, so it's not really going to be a problem. But you know, up close, they actually do better. I found out maybe for eye alignment or something with their binocularity, if we put them in a +2 or a +3, they do even better. So the power gets added on top. So the top would be a +1 in this case, then +2 on top of it in this little segment would really be more like a +3 because it's added on top of the +1 up here. So now you've got a +3, which is a moderate amount of power down the bottom. Well, what I found out with these kids that I was doing this for, particularly children who are farsighted or have hyperopia, what I found out is if I prescribed those bifocals, darn if they didn't come back in 6 months to 8 months later down the road. And I typically was finding they were more farsighted, which meant now instead of a +1 at the top, well, now they might be reading more like a +150 or a +2. Wait, what? We don't want to go that direction, so we don't want patients to get more power in their glasses. And I guess I would say that I was maybe stubborn because it was ingrained in me from school that this is the sort of thing that you did. Everybody did it. It was popular. You'd help your kid to focus better. You help them to stay maybe seeing things a little bit better. And so for many years, even though I saw that plus creep up on the top portion, and now the top is getting stronger and stronger, I kind of went down that path until sometime when I was here at this new location, I'll say around about 2013. I started to realize it's not working out so well. And I think that the bifocal that I'm giving the child down in the bottom is actually perpetuating and causing that farsightedness to increase and increase. That's not what we're here for. So overriding, the goal is to decrease lens prescriptions as much as we possibly can and use the most minimalistic amount of power for the person to see their best. And in this case, I didn't really feel like I was doing my job. So I decided to change it up. And I instead decided that, well, let's not give bifocals anymore. And by golly, absolutely do not want to do them asymmetric. So that's another whole video. I've talked about that before, but going asymmetric on anything at all is bad news bears. It does not work out very well. And so I think I've learned from those past mistakes. So now what we do for kids is we would rather give them a very low amount of plus power throughout the entire lens. So rather than putting this segment on here, adding power, +1. Now let's give them a +2, which makes a +3. Whew, lots of power. Kids will suck down power on the plus side and they'll suck down power on the minus side. So you'll have a child who was a -1, 6 months later to a year, all of a sudden they're a -2, 250, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my gosh, it just keeps going and going. Well, kids on the plus end of the spectrum can do that as well. So now we just give them single vision all the way through. But Dr. Julie, that's just not very convenient. They're sitting in the classroom and they need to be able to see better. So now they've got to maybe take glasses on and off or switch from one pair of glasses to another. Well, so in that particular case, a lot of doctors will end up prescribing, again, like this bifocal or the progressive no line where you don't see that transition between one power to the other. For me, kind of old-fashioned here, but maybe it's based on my results in the past that I didn't like so much, but we don't go with the easier route. So what we do is we say stick with your single vision glasses that you need for up close. Yeah, you're going to have to swap them out or change them potentially or put them on over contacts or something. But in the long run, if we correct the problems at their core with our two-phase treatment protocol at the same time that we're doing something like this, see, this is not the cure. If we're doing all of the other things behind the scenes to correct the problems with how the eyes are working together as a team and lining up and scanning across a page of print and eye-hand coordination, all the things, if we're actually correcting the true root of the problem, this is a helper tool. In our helper tool, we just want to have single vision all the way through in about 99% of cases. Okay, again, but Dr. Julie, it's so much easier to wear progressives or bifocals. Well, yes, it is. But even for adults out there who've had maybe a traumatic brain injury, who's in a progressive and they're like, my vision's just not the best, I don't see that well. Well, get out of your progressive. Get into single vision glasses, no matter the fact that they're annoying at times. Glasses for reading over here, glasses computer over here, glasses for driving over there. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do in order to have your very best vision and your most efficient vision that gives you the least amount of problems. So sometimes a little bit of pain is worth it whenever you have a bigger gain on the end. It's kind of like an exercise program or choosing to change your diet up and adopt a healthier lifestyle. Sometimes it's a little bit of pain in the very beginning until you get used to that, or your body gets worked out of all the sore muscles. But you're going for a big gain, and that's what we always have to stay focused on. If someone who's had a traumatic brain injury, the big gain is they have less complexities with their vision if they just wear single vision all the way through and it's more comfortable for them, even though lots of glasses maybe all around, on the necklace, on the head. However, it can actually be of total benefit to the individual. And back to the kids, I used to do it too, until I learned I was causing a lot of problems with my patients. And then eventually my hard head figured it out and I changed my ways. So if your child's been prescribed bifocals or the no line progressive, and you're like, really? Do we really need that? Well, the answer is maybe not, and you want to look at it carefully because it could cause your patient or your child, in this case, my patient, your child, to have a creep up on their increase of lens prescription, or like it might creep up and more and more and more. So be careful and be wary of those things. Again, I learned, and I don't do that anymore. So if you're interested about like, well, that's the first time I've heard that, and that's kind of interesting, and you want to find out a little bit more about what we do, go to our website at visionforlifeworks.com. If you're local, you can call us at 618-288-1489. Definitely, if you've not done so already, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you get all notifications of videos. We talk about lots and lots of things. And if you know someone who could benefit from this, maybe you've got a neighbor and their little kiddo showed up with a bifocal, or maybe you've got someone that you go to church with and they've got really thick lenses and bifocal on top of that. You might want to pass this video on. It could just be a game changer, literally, for the rest of their lives. Thank you.